Best leg, everybody. I hope you all are doing great. Well, for today's session, I would like to continue from where we have left in the last video. So now before I start today's topics, I would like to quickly recall the topics that we have learned in the last week. So I remember explaining you the stack, the program. There were a few of very important operations with regard to stack, like how to push an element onto the stack, how to pop, and then how to peek, and then you have two situations, called overflow and underflow. So basically, we had a good look at how the stack operation could be carried out in terms of the program, and then there were a few topics like how to convert the infix into postfix, and then briefly I remember teaching you how to evaluate the postfix. As a matter of quick recall, infix expression is the kind of expression in which the operators are placed in between the operands. For example, you have a plus b, plus is the operator, and you find the operator sandwiched or placed between the operands. Okay, so likewise you have c plus d, c minus d. However, the infix, the expressions are meant for us. Okay, since we are highly intelligent, since the human beings they sit at the top of the evolutionary scale, so we don't have any problem when it comes to evaluating the infix. We could use our intelligence in order to figure out which operator has to be executed first using the BODMAS. Okay. However, finally, it's the computer which has to carry out the conversion or the evaluation. So for them, the infix is certainly not a good idea. So they'll have to use the other two expressions. The first one is postfix, and then you have the prefix. Postfix is when the operators are placed after the operands, and then in prefix, when the operators are placed before the operands, we call it as prefix. So these two are actually termed as the polished strings, which is again one of the main applications of the stack. So in the last class, I taught you the first method of converting infix to postfix. Okay, so that was more of manually based regarding the conversion of infix to postfix. Now the second technique or the second method is using the very nature of stack. Using the stack technique, we could again have the infix converted to the postfix, and then the postfix could easily be understood or evaluated by the machine, which I will cover up in a little later. So now let's get started. I need this Excel, the spreadsheet. I need the rows and the columns, right? So if I move on with the drawing, with the bare hand, the drawings will not look too good. So I better take the help of the spreadsheet. Okay. So first things first, you'll have to label the column as stack, and then you have the expression. So this expression will be denoted by y, and then let's say the original expression is the x. Alright, so basically we are converting x to y, and then here why don't you write the symbol. So this particular column will scan the individual symbols or individual element one by one from the left hand side. Okay, so there are certain rules which you have to take note of. I won't be writing on the rules. The rules are pretty easy, so let me verbally tell you, and then once we're done with the conversion, we'll again have a review of rules. Rule number one is, at the start of the conversion, you'll have to add opening bracket. Okay, so before we start the conversion, we'll have to add opening bracket onto the stack. Or technically, if I say it, we need to push the opening brace onto the stack. Likewise, at the end, I need to add a closing parenthesis onto the stack. Rule number 1. Rule number 2 is, if the symbol scanned is the operand, you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, all these are the operand. If the symbol scanned is operand, we need to have it added to the expression directly. Okay? If it's the operands, have it directly added to the expression. If it were to be the operators or the parentheses, so you'll have either the operator like plus, multiplication, division, exponentiation, multiplication, or the symbols could be the braces. Okay, if the symbol or the element were to be these two, then you'll have to push it onto the stack. Simple so far. All the operands will have to be added to the expression. The operators, as well as the brackets or the parentheses, they'll have to be pushed onto the stack. Now these are the basic rules. Now there are a few sub or additional rules which are very, very important. Now let's say I come across, I have a situation like this. Let's say I have a situation like this. Okay? Somewhere in the middle of the conversion, the status of the stack looks like this. Let's say now the next symbol or the element is to be the closing. Okay? If you come across the closing parenthesis, don't push it onto the stack. Don't add it to the stack. Rather, I'll have to pop, the operators one by one and then have it added to the expression until the opening brace is encountered. Let's say the next, if I could just repeat, now the next symbol is the closing, alright? Don't add it, don't push it onto the stack, but rather what you have to do is pop the operators, keep popping the operator and then keep adding on to the expression. Do this. Move on until the left or the opening parenthesis is encountered. Okay, if you're not just as clear, don't worry. Once we are done with the conversion, once we are in the actual process of conversion, you'll have a clearer view. So as of now, just get a rough idea. That's one. And then, let's say I have a situation like this. Let's say I have let's say I have this multiplication and then I have the division sign. Say this is the current status of the stack. Now let's say if the incoming symbol is the plus sign. Okay, if the newly scanned operator is the plus sign, don't just directly push it onto the stack. We need to repeatedly pop and then add it to the expression those elements which have either same precedence with this or higher precedence than this. Okay? So as of now, what happens here is, if this is the most recent, the symbol which has been scanned from the X, we cannot directly have it pushed onto the stack. We need to do a little bit of adjustment. Just check the earlier element. If this particular element has either same precedence level or higher precedence level, if that is the case, then I need to pop off the stack and then add it to the expression like this. Again, I need to repeat the same process. Again, I check for the multiplication sign. As per the rule, repeatedly pop, add it to the expression, but those elements, which have either same precedence level than this or higher precedence level than this. So this multiplication sign, of course, has higher precedence than this. So this will be popped and then it will have to be added onto the expression. So if there are no more operators, the plus sign will have to settle onto the stack. Okay? So I know things may not sound too good as of now, but no worries. Now once we start the actual conversion, you will have a better idea. So these are the basic rules, okay? So now let's get started. The first symbol is E, right? Be careful, because if you miss out on one symbol or one operator, by the time you reach the end, your answer will be wrong answer, okay? So remember, the first rule says I need to add an opening brace, okay? And then, now the next operator is, now since this symbol is operand, okay, since this symbol is operand, I need to have it added to the expression. Simple. And then, now the next up is, you have the, I'm done with the A, now you have this plus. And remember, like I said, operator needs to be pushed onto the stack like this. Okay, I'm done with the plus sign. I now have the opening bracket. Opening bracket will have to be pushed onto the stack. And then I have the operand of B. Okay, since it's operand, it needs to be added to the expression. So it will be AB. You can fill up all these. Okay, better fill all these like this. And then this status will remain as it is. Now the next up is, you have the multiplication sign. This is an operator. Okay, so this operator will have to be pushed onto the stack like this. Okay, I'm done with the multiplication sign. Now since there are no operators preceding the multiplication operator, there is no question of checking whether the earlier operators have to be popped and then added to the expression, since there are no preceding operators because of this brace. Okay, and then this AB will remain as AB. Now the next up is, what do you have? You have C. So this C, will be added to the expression, so it will be like ABC. And then you have the subtraction, okay? You have the subtraction, right? So this subtraction, you need to think a little bit, okay? Now before you push the subtraction operator onto the stack, check the preceding operator, okay? Let's say, now this is due to be pushed onto the stack. I need to check, like I said, repeatedly pop and add it to the expression those elements which has either same precedence or higher precedence than this. So since multiplication operator has higher precedence than the subtraction, you need to pop this, okay? I need to pop this and then add it to the expression like this. Okay, no more operators, and then you will have the minus sign. Okay, so this is one important thing which you need to take note. Otherwise, the rest of the technique or the process is pretty simple. And then you have the opening brace, right? You have this opening brace, and then you will have the status like this. Okay, and then you have D, since it's the operator, right? I have the D here, so this D will be, this is ABC multiplication, and then ABC multiplication, and then you have D, and this will be as it is, alright? And then after D, you have the division operator, and the division operator will be pushed onto the stack, and then this will be ABC multiplied by D. And then after this, you have E. Okay, since this is the operator, since it's the operand, this will be ABC multiplied by D, and then you have E. Okay, and then this will be, and then you have the division operator. Now the up next is, you have the exponentiation, alright? You have the exponentiation. Again, I need to check the preceding operator. The evaluation order in converting infix to postfix is it starts with the bracket, and then you have the exponentiation, and then division and multiplication, and then you have the addition and the subtraction. If you want to, if the same operator lies on the similar level, one which comes first on the left will have to be evaluated first. Remember? So now look at this division operator. It comes below the exponentiation operator as per the precedence level, right? Hence, what happens here is, you have the exponentiation like this. Now this has lower precedence level than this, so no question of getting this popped and then having it added onto the expression. And then now the next step is you have the f, right? So the f will go to A, B, C, and then D, E, F. Okay, and then this will remain plus like this, right? And then after F, you have the closing bracket. All right. So when the next symbol is the closing bracket or the closing brace, remember I need to keep popping the elements and then add to the expression until the left parenthesis is encountered. All right. So which means don't push the closing bracket onto the stack. Rather, you need to start popping the elements until until the opening, the brace, right? So which means I need to pop this and then add it and then pop. Don't ever pop two elements at a time. It doesn't work out like this. In stack, what happens? The topmost element will have to be popped, added, and then the next topmost element, right? So which means I need to now, pop this. Okay, it'll be like this. Plus, originally it'll be like this, right? So this will be popped, and then it'll be added to. Okay, and then again pop this, and then add it to the expression like this. And then one important thing to be noted is you need to remove this. Okay, in a way, we are trying to cancel the closing with the opening by emptying all the operators placed in between the opening bracket and the closing bracket, right? Okay, up next is we have the multiplication sign, right? You have this multiplication sign, and then since minus has a lower precedence level than this multiplication sign, there won't be any change as such, so you can directly push the multiplication sign. Alright, and then now the next up is you have the G, is it? You have this G, G will have to go to the expression. So this will be minus multiplication, and then you will have A, B, C, D, E, F, okay, slash, and then you have the G. Since it's the operand, you need to have it added to the expression. And then after G, we have this, okay, closing parenthesis. Remember, if the symbol is the closing parenthesis, we need to pop the individual elements and then add it to the expression until the opening parenthesis or the left parenthesis. You can actually call it as left parenthesis, right parenthesis, right? So initially, it'll be like this. But because of this closing bracket, this will be popped and this will be added on to the expression, right? So I'll just write it again. D, E, F, G, and then you have multiplication sign. Alright? And then this minus will also get popped and then it'll be added on to the expression. And then very important thing to be noted is you need to remove this. Okay? And then you have the multiplication sign, alright, after the bracket, you have the multiplication sign. Okay, so this multiplication sign will be pushed onto the stack. The reason is, this has lower precedence level than the newly scanned operator, right? And then finally, you have this H, H will have to be added to the expression. Since I'm running out of space, I'll just keep adding over there, okay? So, or perhaps, I'll just write it here. You have here A, B, C, D, E, F, exponent, G, okay? And then you have here H, alright? And then this will be as it is. And then finally, remember, just like how we added opening bracket at the start, we need to add the closing bracket at the end as well, in order to negate the effect of the opening bracket at the beginning, alright? So finally I'll have this, okay? So when you have this closing parenthesis, remember I need to pop the element and then add it to the expression, continue until the left parenthesis or the opening parenthesis is encountered, right? So the multiplication operator is the first one to be popped, followed by plus sign. So you will have something like this. Pop this and then add it to, okay, let's say finally, if it were to be like this, pop this, add it to the expression, pop this, and then add it to the expression, right? And then finally I need to remove this, okay? So, which means the stack is empty. And this is the equivalent postfix expression of the original infix operation, the expression, alright? So this is basically based on the technique of stack. If you could try to compare, this scenario with the program of stack implementation, it's more or less the same. So the same thing, could be done using a program, okay? But that program will have to make use of the technique of the stack, in which there were two principal operations of push and pop. So that's the same thing, that we are doing here. Basically, we do have algorithm rules and regulations, but basically it revolves around two main operations of pushing or popping. Okay, so in a way you could say that, one application of stack is used to convert the infix to postfix. Okay, so the stack program, which we have covered in the last video, another application could be to convert the infix to postfix. Okay, now we'll try to solve this or convert this infix to postfix using the manual technique which we have done in the last week, and then we'll try to check whether we reach the same solution or not. Okay, so when you look at this, this is the innermost bracket. Okay, so this has to be the first expression that is to be executed. But within this, you have two operator, division operator, and then you have the exponentiation. So understandably, the exponentiation operator has to be executed first or evaluated first. Remember? So just try to have it converted. B into C minus D. So and then division operator. So E exponentiation F, will change to E F, and then you have exponentiation operator. Okay? Sorry. Like this. Okay. And then you have the G, and then you have the H. Alright? Now the next up is, this is one operand. Okay, so this is the innermost bracket, so I'll have to, evaluate this. So you will have A plus B into C minus. So just try to convert this. D is the first operand, okay? And then E, F, exponentiation. This is the second operand, this is the first operand, and then you have the operator, alright? So you'll just mark this to denote that this is one single operand, and then these two brackets will disappear, and then you have G multiplied by H. Alright? Okay, now you have this, the bracket that is to be evaluated, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 operands separated by 3 operators. multiplication, minus, and then you have multiplication, right? So now the question is, should I be evaluating this first, or this first, or this first? Should it be B into C, or C minus, or this multiplied by G? So minus is out of question, so you have two multiplication operator. So two multiplication operator. So one which comes first on the left, that has to be evaluated first. So let's convert this. You have A plus, okay, this will change to B, C, and then you have multiplication sign, and then minus D, E, F, exponentiation, right? And then you have multiplication G, and then you have H, alright? So now this time I have three operands separated by two operators, so this got to be the next, alright? So you have A plus B, C multiplication operator, and then copy the first operand D, E, F, okay, and then copy the second operand followed by the operator of multiplication operator, and then you have H. So this is the second operand and this is the first operand, right? Now since I still have the bracket remaining, I'll have to evaluate this. So just change it to B, C, copy the first operand and then copy the second operand D, E, F, and then G multiplication, and then comes the operator, okay, this, alright, okay, and then you have multiplied by H. I now have the plus and the multiplication, so again these two should be multiplied first. So A plus, copy the first operand B, C, multiplication operator D, A, F, exponentiation slash G multiplied by, okay, and then negative sign. Now this is the first operand. This is the first operand and this is the second operand, and then in between you have the multiplication operator, right? So copy the first operand, now copy the second operand of H, and then comes the multiplication operator, okay? So this is the whole operand, which is the product of H and this big operand. So finally I need to add these two. Copy the first operand A, and then copy be careful of this is the operator. So copy the rest of the second operand, which will be B, C multiplied by D, E, F, exponentiation G multiplied by H, multiplication. So I'm done with collecting both the operands, and then finally you will have plus sign, right? So just try to check between these two. I hope and I pray that I got the answer right. ABC, okay, you have ABC, and then multiplied by DEF, okay, and then exponentiation, you have the division G multiplication minus H multiplication, and then you have the plus sign, right? So when you convert the infix to postfix, there are two methods. The first one is the manual conversion. Okay, this is purely for our understanding, but technically what happens is when we specify such expression, computer or the program will convert the infix to postfix using the stack program. Basically this could be done using a stack program, not the stack, the data structure, right? So once it's converted, again, computer uses the stack technique to evaluate this, okay? So now the good thing about the postfix is that is a very important question, which could be like, cite the advantage of the postfixed over infix. Cite the advantage of postfixed over infix. So your answer should be straight and simple. When you look at this, it's very difficult for the computers to keep track of the order of the evaluation. So if you assign this task to a computer, the computer, has to use a very complicated algorithm or sense of logic in order to evaluate this, okay, which is the first, that is to be executed, right? However, when this infix is converted to the postfix, using the stack technique, it starts from here, like I showed you in the last example, push A, B, C. When you have the operator, pop BC, okay, and then evaluate B multiplied by C and push the result back onto the stack. So one by one, the computer program will be able to evaluate the postfix with ease because it deals with two operands. It starts with A, B, C, and then when you have the multiplication operator, it has to just deal with two topmost operands with the operator, and then whatever the result is, the result will be pushed onto the stack. Again, it goes on and on. So in a nutshell, the postfix expression is easily evaluated by the computer program. The reason is it just has to deal with two operands and one operator at one particular time. Okay?